Welcome to Patient Payment Plans with Open Dental. I'm going to show you how to create a basic patient payment plan, and I'll also briefly go over managing your payment plan. We do have a good detailed explanation on our website at opendental.com. So payment plans can be set up in Open Dental to give you flexibility for those patients that need to pay a large balance over a period of time. We do that in the account module. So I'm just going to scroll over to the account module. And I'm going to show you how to create a plan for a patient that maybe had a bridge done, but the insurance didn't cover it. And so they've got a large expense to pay out of pocket. So our patient, Elizabeth James here, she had a bridge done last month and she owes a big chunk. So let's say that she has agreed to pay $500 down and we'll spread the rest out into monthly payments. So when we're in this account window, there's the payment plan button here, kind of at the top center. To start creating my plan, I can either just click on the payment plan button and choose patient payment plan. In this window, we can set up all the details that we need for the plan, just starting on the upper left with the guarantor information. So I've got my patient is Elizabeth James. In this example, my guarantor is also going to be Elizabeth James. There may be some plans that you'll set up for a child, or they've got someone in the account that you want someone else to be the guarantor. That's no problem. You can set someone up as the guarantor besides the patient. In this case, though, it's going to be the same. Just below that, we can assign a particular provider. It's going to default to whoever is the patient's primary provider. Just below that, we've got the date of our agreement. It's always going to populate the current date. The total amount automatically pulled from what she has owing on her account. I could change that if I wanted to. And then I'm going to indicate when do I want my first actual payment to be due. She's going to be making a down payment today and not due again until next month. So I'm going to leave this as my next. If I wanted it maybe to be the first of the month, I could always change it. So my first payment will be February 1st. She's going to pay $500 down. So I'll enter that in. If we're charging her interest, we can enter an APR if we want to here. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it blank. And then we've got options here. We can put in if there's going to be a certain number of payments. If they're going to make maybe 5 payments, and the system will split that remaining balance after the down payment. Or if she's going to pay a flat payment amount every month or every other week, whatever we want to set it up, we can put that in as well. I'm going to say, let's say she's going to pay $500 a month. On the right-hand side, we see that button that says More Options. Here we can customize how often she's going to be making these payments. Is it going to be weekly, every other week, and so on? The default there is monthly. I'm going to leave it as monthly and just close there. And then we need to make sure that the total treatment amount here on the bottom left matches the total amount of or basically our loan that we're giving her. I can't just manually type in that field. So to put information in there, I need to click this button that says View TX Credits, just meaning View Treatment Credits. So I'm clicking that button there. In this window, I can manually enter in the dollar amount. So if I wanted to say she's going to pay $3,600, I can type that in on the right-hand side and then just click the Add button. Or if I want this payment plan, when payments are entered, to attach specifically to the procedures that were done, I can take that $3,600 out. So I just highlighted it and clicked the Delete button. And I can highlight these 3 procedures that were completed. Those are the 3 that were involved in that bridge that was done. And I'll go ahead and click Add. So now I've got those 3 teeth involved in my bridge associated with my plan. And I'm just going to OK to accept that. And now that I have all my data entered and I know that she's going to be making payments of $500 a month, then I can choose to create my amortization schedule here. I'm just going to click Create Schedule. And it lists it all out for me, my down payment, and then the rest is going to be divided up into 7 more payments. We can print this out for our patient. If we want to give them a copy of what we're expecting and what they've agreed to, they can sign for it. You could scan it in, or you can set up your payment plans. If you have a digital signature pad in your office, you can have an option to have them sign for it digitally. So I'm on the bottom where it says sign and print. If we just scroll down a little bit, it's got all the details of our plan, what we're expecting them to pay every month, and then our patient could sign and pretend that's a signature. I'm just going to click the Save button. I could also print this out after they've signed. I could create a PDF. I can print it. I can email it. And now we've got that saved plan signed. I'm just going to click OK to save it. And here's my payment plan now sitting up here. Let's go ahead and enter our down payment. We can see on the right-hand side that down payment is due right now. So I'm just going to go to my payment button on the upper left. I'm going to enter my amount and click OK. And it automatically wants to split that payment and attach it to the payment plan. If I didn't want this to attach to the payment plan, I could delete that split and attach it to something else. But that is what I want, so I'm going to click OK to accept that payment. So now in our payment grid here, our payment plan grid at the very top of our account, it's showing due now 0. If I just double click to open it back up, you can see that down payment did attach to the plan, so that's perfect. And right now it's showing a balance due of 0. It will show that she has a balance again, usually about 10 days before the first of the month, since that's when her next payment is supposed to be due. You can manage when you want those payments to show as due in the Manage module. Under Setup, Manage, and your Manage Preferences. Kind of in the middle, right-hand side, days in advance to bill payment plan amount due. I've got mine set to 10. You could change it if you wanted yours to be different. I'm just going to OK and keep that change there. And when you're using payment plans, you want to make sure you're keeping track of who has a payment plan, who needs to make a payment, how much of your AR is tied up in those payment plans. So OpenDental has a payment plan report that you can utilize for that purpose. And it's just under Reports, Standard. It's under the monthly column, this one right here that says Payment Plans. And just because it's under the monthly column doesn't mean that you can only run it once a month. You can run this report as often as you need to. Payment plans. You can put in a date range, how far back you want it to look. I want to go back to maybe January 1st of 2017. So I'm going to go back to 2017. And we've got different options here. We can show the family balance. We can hide completed payment plans if we want to. I'll leave that box checked. When we click OK, it'll bring up our list of patients that have payment plans. And depending on the version of OpenDental that you're using, your report might look a little bit different if you're not on the most current version. So I've got my report up, so I can make it a little bit bigger. Here's all my patients in that window. It's going to show the provider, the guarantor of the payment plan, whether or not it's an insurance plan or a patient payment plan, our principal, loan amount, what they've paid so far, the remaining balance, and if there's anything due now. And if you're running monthly statements using OpenDental, anything that has an amount due now, those patients will show up on your statement list. So you don't need to worry about running this list in order to have these people show up on the statement list. They'll automatically be there if what they are currently owing is due right now. When I'm looking at this list, I see one of my patients here, Janie Jones. Her principal amount was $445 that she was going to be paying off, and she has paid $445. So she no longer owes anything. So I've got options of how to close out her plan. If I close out of the report, I'm just going to go to that patient, Janie Jones. There's her payment plan. She currently owes nothing. You've got a few different options of how to deal with a completed payment plan. You can just leave it here. That's no problem. Just leave it just the way it is. I'll just open it up, completely paid off, and that's fine. However you decide to do things will just be based on what your office wants to do, so the decision might be different for every office. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You can delete the payment plan. If you no longer want it to be here, you don't need it anymore, it's completely paid off. If you were choosing to delete the payment plan, you'd want to make sure that you saved some kind of a record of this. You could either make a screenshot, print it out, scan it to your file. You can view and print what the patient had signed, so we can click that view and print. You could print it out, make sure you scan it into their image module. If we try to just click delete on the lower left, we'll get a message that we cannot delete this because there's payments attached to it. So if we did want to delete the plan, we would need to open up each of these payments and detach them from the plan first. I'll show you what that would look like. We would just open it up. You'd have to actually open up the split. And there's a little box with a check box on the bottom that says attached to payment plan. So you'd have to uncheck that box and click OK. I'm not really going to uncheck it, but you kind of get the idea. So you'd have to do that with each of those attached payments, and once they were all detached, then you would be able to delete the plan. And then again, making sure that you have a copy of it somewhere saved on file if you ever needed to refer back to it for any reason. The last option is we have a close plan option. Just on the lower left there, you can just click that close plan. So it still remains there. It's just marked as a closed plan. If you didn't want to see it for any reason, you can hide it under the Show tab on the upper right. Above where it says Family Urgent Financial Note, there's a little Show tab. You can little checkbox there that you can uncheck if you don't want to see those completed payment plans. So those are your three options. And that's just the basics of entering just a very simple patient payment plan. Again, if you need additional information, you can find a detailed overview at opendental.com. And thanks for joining us.